If you took any buddy cop film, mixed in Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast, mix that motherfucker up, you got this cocktail. Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to day 26 here on the 31 Days of R. I am your host Moon616 and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yeah, day 26 is here and this time we've made it into the 90s. Into the early 90s, and this is a film I surprisingly has never seen before. I've wanted to see this one forever and it's just been really hard to get my hands on. I'm not really down with grabbing bootlegs and stuff. I believe it was only bootlegged here in Region 1, I don't know. But it's been one I've been curious about forever. You know, of course, Tom Savini did the effects in this film, and it's been kind of notorious for that and stuff like that. But the other cool thing is that it's from the early 90s. And as we know, horror films have slowed down dramatically in the early 90s. So this is kind of cool. This got actually a Blu-ray release. So, of course, from 88 Films, and it is called Bloodsucking Pharaohs in Pittsburgh. Yes, Bloodsucking Pharaohs in Pittsburgh. It's a great title. But yeah, get into the plot of this one. Basically centers around two cops and one of the cops' daughters. They are investigating a series of random murders in Pittsburgh. The thing is with these murders is that they're very similar to a case that one of the cops was investigating a year prior, or several years prior, in Las Vegas, where there was a series of murders and these victims had their limbs removed to, it turned out that, you know, these limbs were being used to feed this ancient Egyptian god's blood lust, you know. So now it's in the present day and these murders are happening again in Pittsburgh, and yeah, same thing is happening. These limbs are being removed and there's lots of similarities, so they have to investigate this and, you know, catch this murder. So that is the premise of the film. Now, my thoughts on this one. Yeah, this movie right here is, you know, it's a total parody of buddy cop films and, you know, other films. You know, this one is pretty much like, you know, if you took any buddy cop film, mixed it with Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast, you got this. This is exactly what it is. It's supposed to be a parody, you know, a comedy, horror, slasher film. But the problem is with this film is that it's not very funny. You know, it has a couple moments in the film. It has a few good one-liners in here, but it's not really that funny. You know, what you expect from, like, you know, those awesome buddy cop films like Lethal Weapon and, you know, and so on and so on. Lots of good buddy cop films out there, and which leads me to the, you know, the main characters, the main two cops in this film. You know, they're all right characters, but they don't really have that, you know, that real good chemistry, that bond in the film. I know at first they're not really supposed to, but you think as the film would progress, they would start to get a little more comfortable and things would get funnier and stuff. This one just doesn't have a lot of funny moments overall. You know, not even with the buddy cops. It's not really that slapsticky either. So it doesn't really have that, but even the one-liners are very kind of low-key. It just doesn't present itself as being like an over-the-top or even, you know, semi-funny film, which is the biggest problem when you're making a parody or a horror comedy. It needs to be funny, and this one just wasn't, so very, very unfortunate. Of course, it's a super low-budget film, so it looks low-budget. It looks like it was from the early 90s. That's kind of the cool thing about it. I love the look of the film. Love some of the sets and, you know, some of the areas that they filmed in and stuff, but yeah, this one just... it just doesn't have really a lot going for it. It's actually really slow. Like, there's a few kills here and there. There's a lot of development, a lot of non-funny development and buddy cop stuff that's going on. And it's just kind of tedious to watch because, like I said, with these type of films, they're supposed to be funny. And it gets tedious because it runs 90 minutes. And that's another major fault for this film. It's way too long and just kind of discouraging when you're watching it. And I really wish that there actually was more kills in this film because, you know, maybe it would have made it a little more interesting. They did have some pretty good ideas with the kills, but there just wasn't really a lot of them. I have to say, you know, Tom Savini's effects were definitely underutilized in this one, and I have the slightest feeling that this movie, maybe not this version is cut or whatever, but maybe like the original distributor cut the shit out of this movie, because it does seem like some of the kills were definitely cut, like especially in the end of the film, it just seems like it was cut to shit. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but it just seems like if it wasn't and it was meant to be like this, his effects were just underutilized, I believe. There's a couple really cool moments, especially with a girl hanging out of a car and another dude like in this bath type deal. But other than that, not really a whole lot to keep you interested. The ending plays out exactly how you expect it to play out, which is, of course, super cliched and stuff, but it is what it is. It's a horror parody, a horror comedy that it just didn't really work for me at all. I've heard a lot of people say that they really enjoy this one. I've heard a lot of people say they really didn't. So I was very kind of curious to check this one out, and it ended up being kind of a stinker for me. If I had to rate this film, I would just give it probably, about a 4.5 out of 10. It's not absolutely horrendous. Some people might like this film. It didn't work for me personally. I think some people might get some enjoyment out of this. So I'm not going to say don't go out and, pick this one up or, support 88 films and stuff. But, I don't know. I just felt a little bit cheated watching it. I was just like, man, I don't know. A little too long for me. But it was definitely cheap. This thing was only like £7. So not too bad for the price. But I have to say the transfer was okay. It's probably the best it's ever looked. Probably the best it's ever going to look. So I did watch the deleted scenes on here. Not really the best, a lot of the scenes are just kind of extended in there. It's about 18 minutes of deleted scenes, and it's not really overly the greatest, but yeah, there actually is an interview with Tom Savini on here that I didn't watch. Maybe I'll watch it to find out if the scenes were cut or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, Bloodsucking Pharaohs in Pittsburgh. Not a lot of original material here. I guess when you're doing a parody, it's not supposed to be. Just wish they had have made it funny. That would have been kind of the bonus for this film, but yeah, I don't know. It wasn't for me, but that's gonna do it, guys, for day 26 here. See you guys in day 27. Peace out, homies.